Support for Steppin Out comes in part from the Kristovich family in honor of Mary Lou and Bill Kristovich. This program is sponsored in part by the Eugenie and Joseph Jones Family Foundation, a local foundation proud to support the arts and culture in the greater New Orleans area.
I'm Peggy Scott Laborde, and welcome to Steppin Out, with updates from the local restaurant, arts, and entertainment scenes. Joining me, Poppy Tucker, host of Louisiana Eats on WWNO Radio. Hey, Miss Poppy. Hello, hello.
Hey.
Ian McNulty, food writer for the Times Picayune, New Orleans Advocate. Hello, Mr. Ian. Hi.
Hi.
Alan Smason of theatercriticism.com and the Crescent City Jewish News. Hello, Alan. Like your suit.
Hello.
Also with us, though, we're so thrilled, is Cheryl Dupont, Executive and Artistic Director of the New Orleans Children's Chorus, now in its 39th year. Welcome, Cheryl.
Hi, Peggy.
It's great to have you. Hello.
Thanks.
Poppy, one local institution is trying to do its part to help the restaurant industry.
What a great and generous gesture this is. It's called Operation Bon Appetit. This is a project of LCMC Health. They announced this week that they're giving every full-time employee, everyone, a $100 gift card to spend in restaurants. Part-time and contract workers get a $50 gift certificate. So this in total is giving Louisiana restaurants a $1 million boost right when they need it. I wanted to mention this because as fall gift giving time comes up on us, if you own a company, this is a great way to help save our local restaurants. And you know, Peg, so much these days is about what I'm calling the pandemic pivot. And I've got a great pivot story for you. A new company started up about 18 months ago called Riverboat Coffee. It's a cold brew nitro coffee, and their original concept was selling direct to restaurants, and they also had this adorable little cart they were doing at special events. And you may have enjoyed this delicious iced coffee at Slim Goodies or Horns because, oh, by the way, co-founder Brady Horn's aunt is Kappa Horn, of course, of Slim Goodies and Horns. His mom is incredible community activist Stacy Horn. Well, their business was just rolling along, and then the pandemic happened. So he and his partner, Bryce Sanderford, decided to pivot to home delivery. They were kind of thinking about the milkman. And so what they have done is they came up with these incredible half-gallon growlers. And the way this works is you purchase one of these single-use $24 if it's one time. And so then that's your first purchase. Then it's $20 to refill it. But they've got the greatest deal. You can get this subscription program where they're going to deliver one of these growlers to you every 1 to 5 weeks. That's plenty enough time for iced coffee. And it's just $16. And you can take your growler to the commissary on Orange Street and get it refilled there. They are proudly a zero waste company. I just think what they're doing is so brilliant, and it's delicious iced coffee, smooth, non-acidic. You just go to riverboatcoffee.com to sign up. That's a lot of iced coffee for $16.
Thank you, Poppy. Such a deal. Over to Ian, yes, with other folks in the restaurant industry trying to help, because there's so many issues right now, aren't there?
Well, you're right, Peggy. And, it seems like nothing is normal in the restaurant industry and the whole hospitality sector right now. But some things endure, and some things actually feel like maybe they're hardwired or instinctual at this point. And that's this impulse to get up and do something when our neighbors are in trouble, or when our neighbors are in need. That runs very strong in the hospitality field, and we saw it snap back into action again after Hurricane Laura. the devastation in that part of the state is severe. I mean, our hearts go out to everyone who's been impacted by it and is going to be dealing with it for a long time. Well, some of the first people to step up, unsurprisingly, in normal times, are restaurant people. They've got the kitchens, the equipment, the gear, the know-how, and crucially, the relationships and networks all built around food to be able to do something very quickly. They're very frequently the first people you see stepping up for these grassroots direct relief efforts. Let's cook, let's get some food for these people. Let's make sure there's a hot meal, there's somewhere to start. Well, Peggy, what makes this story interesting, tragically more interesting this time around, is that the restaurants themselves are in a crisis. I mean, the restaurant community, the hospitality sector is in the fight for its life. And yet, as the word went around, can you help? Can you do something? Can you donate this? Can you volunteer here? Like clockwork, people snap back into action. It's happening in a lot of places. A lot of times it's happening very quietly, but it is happening. Restaurants that have been closed throughout the pandemic, the stoves are lit and they're cooking for other people, for community feeding efforts. One great example is Cafe Dauphine down in Holy Cross. Chef Tia Henry hasn't had her restaurant open for months, and yet that kitchen is busy. The dining room is filled with these community feeding efforts. They're now cooking for folks out in Southwest Louisiana as well. It's happening with chefs, individuals stepping up. Sometimes people who have lost their jobs, Peggy, are volunteering for people who have lost a whole lot more. So if you needed one more example of what's at stake here in the long-term fight for the future of our hospitality industry, just look at what these folks are doing right now.
All right. Thank you so much, Ian. We'll be back to you in a little bit. But Cheryl, welcome. You were last on in 2018 around Christmas. And this New Orleans Children's Chorus, when I just think about, first of all, I mean, just for a child to be in the chorus, it gives you such confidence and, of course, learning your musical talents. Right. But people like Sarah Jane McMahon and Brian Hemel and I'm sure so many others. But it's just to be able to sing. I love the fact that you have these age ranges, don't you, too?
We do. We start them at the age of 5. We don't have a choir for 5 and 6-year-olds. They don't stand still very well, but we have a music discovery program for them. And then we have 2 other choirs that accommodate kids up to 17, 18.
Yeah. So you all are going to do this for the first time. The rehearsals will be virtually. Tell me about that.
In order to be completely safe right now, we're going to have online rehearsals on Mondays. As usual, they'll be a little bit shorter, and we took the opportunity to do something creative, and we're offering 5 different musical enrichment classes: hand drumming, ukulele, voice classes, introduction to keyboard, and music theory. And the kids can choose 1 or 2 of them there on Mondays and Tuesdays. So it's a chance for them to pursue something musical, but slightly different from what we offer in the rehearsals.
Yeah. Now, of course, you all have done events throughout the year. The Christmas concert, I know we have a picture of that.
Yeah.
And you've all also gone to Carnegie Hall, which is pretty impressive, too. Here's the Christmas concert. Yeah. So beautiful. Now, that's your different choruses combined.
That's right.
Correct?
That's
so
at the end.
Like everybody's together in that respect.
We have a sing-along at the end with the audience, too.
How fun. Also, we do have a clip from the time that you all were with us, and we're going to roll that and listen to a little bit of that. But it's so dear. And, of course, you're conducting all of these, aren't you? Here we go.
Yes.
Well, take a moment.
Of the broad road before us, and the roadside farm, the broad road before.
Cheryl, so tell me about the challenges here. You must have the fact that you're doing this virtually, but it can be done, can't it?
It can be done. It's not very satisfying for those of us who are used to looking at faces and seeing people in person, but we're going to rehearse and teach them online through Zoom and send them rehearsal tracks and things like that. And then we're going to have a winter concert that's going to be a recorded concert this year. It's our first one ever, so we'll figure out the joys and challenges of that as we go. We may even have some kids from the ukulele class and the drumming class and the voice class and so on doing demonstrations. So we will still be singing. It will just be different. And we hope in the spring that things will be better and we can get back to
And the
person
goal
to
is
person.
also to go back to Carnegie Hall if things get better. and
Well,
go
we're
well,
scheduled
too.
to go over Memorial Day. I'm supposed to conduct a concert there in 2021. So if Carnegie Hall is open, which they're planning to be right now, and if people are able to go, we will do that.
Well, congratulations on all your efforts.
Thank you so much.
Now over 39 years, it's amazing.
Well, I have to say I did not start the choir, but it's over 30 for me, which is still a long time.
That's a lot. That's a lot. Thank you so much here. And moving over to Alan, what's cooking?
Well, last week we put the final touches on A Gift to New Orleans from John Bigonnet, the playwright, which was Mold, the last of his trilogy of plays on Hurricane Katrina and its recovery. The cast was led by real-life couple Jesse Terrebonne Thompson and Nick Thompson, who played Marie and Trey Guidry, a couple who had evacuated in advance of the storm and returned a year later to settle the insurance on Trey's family home. Troy Bechet, seen here on the right, played the role of Amelia Delachaise. She was a volunteer with the mayor's office to designate blighted and abandoned property. And Randy Maggiore, who is also here on the right, reprised his role as Emile Bernard, an insurance adjuster. And like Rising Water and Shotgun that went before it, this was directed by Greg Johnson, who was with the Montana Repertory Theater for 29 years before he decided to make New Orleans his home. And we were so glad he did an outstanding job directing and in dealing, with this cast that reflected the frustration of the city that it had in trying to remediate their homes and return home in some cases. And finally, I wanted to thank John Bigonnet, the playwright, who allowed this to happen through his generosity, his leadership, and allowing me as the producer to really advance his printed words on the page and turn them into a 3-part story that spoke to the pain and suffering and resilience of the survivors and the determination of our citizens to return to the city that they love. So I appreciate that very, very much. Meanwhile, we did have some sad news that the Big Easy Awards have been canceled for this year. We're going to get more on that later on as I report on that. But good news, next week coming up, Le Petit will have their fundraiser. That's the Curtain Call Ball. And it's basically going to be a live event from Le Petit, but a virtual event for everybody else. So just be a few people at the Le Petit Theater, a live auction being conducted to raise needed funds for Le Petit, one of the oldest community theaters in the nation. And tickets are still available. You can check that out here. And while part of the Curtain Call Ball will be virtual and other aspects are live, there are 2 things that happened to live theater this week that we may need to consider in the future for theater here in New Orleans. In San Francisco, the 42nd Street Theater announced an entire virtual season of shows that will be or have been recorded already and live streams, with each show costing about $20. And then the entire season will be available for like $79. And then live theater still staging a comeback across the pond. A week ago, the opening of a new musical, guess what? Sleepless in Seattle. It was advertised as socially distanced and COVID compliant, Peggy.
All right. Thank you so much, Alan. Back to Poppy for something real sweet.
Another pandemic pivot. I have come across these wonderful people whose business is Dickie Ks Sweet. Now, this business was recently restarted by Monique Johnson, whose great-grandmother in Thibodaux was Gertie K, and started off her business years ago selling to her neighbors. Well, she left her recipes behind. So when the pandemic brought hardship to Monique's high-risk mom, she and Monique revived the family business. And they are now delivering to Orleans and Jefferson Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. I am talking the most exquisite little sweet potato hand pies and pralines you've ever seen. There's full-size pies and cakes that you can order in advance at a discount for Thanksgiving. You just go to GertieKSweets.com for this wonderful generational gift. And I love what Monique says about her business. One of her real reasons is she wants to make sure that Gertie mattered.
I love it. Thank you so much.
Sweetest.
Back over to Ian. Ian, some really great news about Dickie Chases, huh?
Yeah, well, to play on what Poppy was talking about, intergenerational businesses and families, we have a prime example here at Dickie Chases. The place has been around for so long. It's meant so much to the community for so long in so many different ways. Of course, that we lost the late, great Leah Chase last year. Well, Dickie Chase in the pandemic has been doing mostly takeout and also those community feeding efforts that I mentioned earlier. So the kitchen has been busy, but the dining room has been closed until last week. They finally resumed full service in the restaurant. And what they did, Peg, was unveil a revival in a way that had been planned for years, much with the late Leah's urging and blessing. And what you see here is the next generation of the family, led by Edgar Chase IV in the kitchen, and by his the next generation of the family coming through. They're bringing back facets of this restaurant that many people have not seen in many years. We're talking about a full menu, a deep dive into just great traditional Creole dishes. At the bar, there's Eve Haydel, another granddaughter of Leah Chase, whipping up some drinks. New focus here on fresh juices and herbs. A really delicious fresh take, but all rooted in tradition, all rooted in the past and the stories and the narratives that have run through Dickie Chases through the years. And anybody who knew Leah Chase knew that she had this epic work ethic. And for many years, the family had actually limited the hours at Dickie Chase's restaurant in an effort to somehow limit the tireless Leah Chase, because she would be there every hour that the restaurant was open.
Yeah.
Well, before her passing, she urged the family to do more. And now that she is gone, the next generation has picked up that mantle, and they're back open for dinner now and for lunch through the week. Dinner on Friday. They hope to expand those hours. But look for that full menu, just filled with rich stories and traditions and great flavors.
Absolutely. And Poppy, did you have a quick PS to this?
Yes, I know Leah is smiling from heaven about her bar being operating again, because the original famous bartender there was actually Virgie Castle, the mother of Aretha Castle Haley. So fitting right in there with that civil rights movement, and God bless Eve for carrying that on. I know Leah's happy.
Thank you. And back to Alan. Alan, more opportunities, virtual opportunities for theater, and you're the producer of it, aren't you?
Yeah, yes, I am. Well, I got to do something. I can't write about reviews right now.
I know.
But anyway, before they disappear again, I wanted to alert everybody back to a production I was very proud to bring back, and that was Nita and Zita, a virtual setting. The work was written by Lisa D'Amore, along with significant contributions from Kathy Randalls, Annalise Juge, and Katie Pearl. And it was Randalls and Pearl who really played the two Jewish immigrant sisters from Bayamar, who actually retired in New Orleans and were essentially recluses. What made this multimedia presentation so unusual was that it incorporated several videotape segments from the original production that was here in 2005, and that won, by the way, an Obie Award as an off-Broadway production for Lisa D'Amore, Kathy Randalls, and Katie Pearl. And aside from the videos, there were slideshows of Flora and Piroshka's Faubourg Marigny cottage that they had, the Creole cottage, which was weirdly decorated with polka dots and painted spider webs.
And this is a true story, Alan. May I just interject that this is a true story, just in case folks aren't familiar with it? Okay. This really
Absolutely,
happened.
and it's just typical. That's New Orleans, if you will. There was original music by Tom McDermott with great costumes by Olivia Wilde. I really strongly encourage anybody who has about an hour and a half of free time to see this charming and quirky
Really
piece.
well done.
It's superbly acted, and again, I have people from all across the country have been telling me how wildly enthusiastic they're about it. You can see it on the Nita and Zita website, on several locations on Facebook, and on my own YouTube channel. Again, look for that. This week, by the way, on the concert series, I want to let everybody know that Tony Award winner Karen Olivo will be the guest. Karen started out in the original cast of Rent as a replacement and ended up touring as one of the leads in the national tour. She later starred opposite Lin-Manuel Miranda in The Heights in 2008 and was starring as Satine in Moulin Rouge in March when it was shut down, of course, by the pandemic. Karen, by the way, is also the only actor to win a Tony Award for any role in West Side Story since 1957. She won hers in 2009 as Anita in the revival of that year. So keep that in mind. Again, great happenings with Seth Rudetsky.
Okay, thank you so much. And before we move on to our picks, last week we lost Sid Noel. known for many years as the madcap TV personality Dr. Momus Alexander Morgus, shown here with our longtime audio engineer Andres Calandria. Here's Angela Hill with an homage to the mad scientist.
It's time to join the master, Morgus, the Magnificent.
For anyone who grew up watching TV in the 1960s, these sounds and scenes say it all.
Hello, my dear followers of the fantastic. Once again, my genius shall be put to a test before the entire scientific world.
There was only one place to be on Saturday nights back then, parked in front of the TV for a science lesson from a, shall we say, renowned scientific mind, that of Dr. Momus Alexander Morgus.
Success is only acquired through constant effort, and today we are going to connect our patient here to our artificial heart machine. Once he gets this heart connected to his body through this big tube over here, why, he'll be able to live to be about 200 years old. All right, sterilize. Oh, I got to get the glove on. Let's see here. Well, I don't need that one. All right. Take it away. Got to be sterile. Okay. Now, child play.
And Morgus was the biggest event in television for kids, 9 to 13 and 14 that ever happened in TV.
Oh, don't be afraid, Hopsley. Look, if I ever failed, oh, don't be silly. I've never failed at anything.
We would watch it. We would have groups of kids over to watch it. You'd watch it, and in between commercial breaks, you'd call up everybody and say, wait, you see what he's doing this week? He's got the Instant People machine on.
Dr. Morgus first brought his talents to WWL-TV in 1959. The setting for the show? His lab above the Old City Ice House. There he updated viewers on his scientific exploits in between segments of horror movies. Always a part of the scientific formula, Chopsley, Morgus's hulk of an assistant, who wore a hood as a result of some unfortunate plastic surgery performed by the master. There was also Eric, the preserved brain and skull of a former lab assistant, who watched over things in the laboratory and served as the doctor's perfect foil.
Isn't that right, Eric?
Yes, Master.
In 1961, Morgus hit the big screen with a full-length feature film, The Wacky World of Dr. Morgus. It was fitting then that he later welcomed movie and entertainment critic Al Shea into his lab.
Really is nice of you, Dr. Morgus, to let me come by here today to talk to you. So many of our midday viewers are really anxious to know what do you mind not standing so close?
Oh, I'm sorry.
What you really like.
Well, I got a lot of chemicals here, and of course I'm sorry about the place, but cleanliness is next to nothingness. I tell you, it's what you do that counts in this world.
After leaving the airwaves in the 1970s, Morgus made a TV comeback in 1987.
Good evening. Welcome to Morgus Presents.
His lab and his scientific methods looked much the same.
Oh, look, Busy. Well, good evening, my dear friends of science. Those who know the true meaning of the symbol.
And we should point out that Sid Noel, in a rare interview, once pointed out that his goal was to have Morgus as Don Quixote, if you will, with Chopsley as his Sancho Panza. Very much missed. And now time for our picks of the week. Poppy.
Now, this is a hot one. If you've never had a cooking class from Frank Brightstone, there's a new series that's happening starting September 10th at City Park Botanical Garden, Dinner with Class, a delicious three-course dinner cooked in front of you by Frank. It's fabulous with wine, and you go home with the recipes, too. Don't miss this opportunity, and it's going to be an ongoing series.
Sounds great. Thank you. Ian.
A brand new restaurant in Mid-City on Tulane Avenue, next to the courthouse, Mr. Potato. You can guess what the specialty is there. These stuffed potatoes, loaded. That's the Supa seafood with a lobster tail, crawfish, shrimp. You get the picture. There's a lot going on there. Probably a dozen or so different specialties. You make up your own. Really, really fun new place on Tulane Avenue.
All right, Cheryl, that website again for the Children's Chorus.
It's NewOrleansChildren'sChorus.org. Lots of information about membership and our classes.
And rehearsals start pretty soon.
September 14th.
Okay, great. Thank you. And Alan.
Peggy, actor Eric Berryman received very high praise back in 2017 for a piece that's being brought out now until September 14th. It's called The B-Side, Negro Folklore from Texas Prisons. It's an actual album completely memorized and resung and given in spoken word by Berryman and two other actors. It's a moving piece that was recorded actually in the early 1960s with actual Texas road gang prisoners and the songs that they would sing to get them through the day, help them cope. Some of the pieces are well-known spirituals and others are largely forgotten today. I really recognize it as really amazing gravitas, lacking any kind of set or costumes. It's just the actors. Go see it if you can. I'll see you at the theater, Peggy.
Okay, thank you. And my pick, you can now stream WYES live anytime, anywhere. Viewers in the WYES broadcast area can watch live online on and which is great, okay, and on a smartphone or a tablet and on the WYES app. And by the way, on a smart TV on the PBS video app. So all kinds of ways to do that, and we're just thrilled. Also, a reminder that at both the Ogden and the Louisiana Children's Museum, there are great deals, and at the D-Day Museum, too, World War II Museum, during September. It's half price for Louisiana residents, and check out those other places in terms of great opportunities, in terms of going to see the museum. Thank you all so very much, and Cheryl, we're thrilled that you could be with us. Thank you so much. Thanks for watching.
Support for Steppin Out comes in part from the Kristovich family in honor of Mary Lou and Bill Kristovich. This program is sponsored in part by the Eugenie and Joseph Jones Family Foundation, a local foundation proud to support the arts and culture in the greater New Orleans area.